The new summer event for Arknights CN server is out. Chen is broken, she's got life to D. Nian's also got her own life to D. That's great. Mizuki looks very good for me. I want to pull for this good boy. A bunch of operator got stats buff. Appreciated. The event has very tough enemies. Appreciated. The event is so great that it's making great profit. Though slightly under Skadi Shoutout first day release, but it's still commendable. Whatever that I've just said are just what's on the surface. We've got something serious to talk about today. This event won't be able to cover up the string of terrible things that happened for Arknights from the time of the event teaser livestream to the day of the release. I think it's important that you be aware of what is happening. The topic or problem that we must discuss about today, just this one and only problem, is hyperglyph. Before I begin on this video, nope, not a sponsorship, it's more like good news to start the video off first. The new Arknights global exclusive soundtrack, Never Give Up, has been released. I'm not playing this song in fear of copyright problems, but hey, it's out. It sounds beautiful, so please go take a listen on that. It's easily one of my newest favorite songs in Arknights. You'll surely love it. Anyways, let's get talking. 2 weeks ago, Arknights CN announced a sudden livestream that was for a summer event to happen in Arknights. From the time of the livestream to the event release, a lot of things had unfolded in the CN community. The livestream came as a surprise for many CN players since there wasn't any instance of hyperglyph doing a livestream outside of Chinese New Year or anniversary, so what the occasion may be was unknown to all. As it went on and on, the operators to be released was announced, and it turns out there was a new 6-star, and also a new limited 6-star. To many surprise, another outer 6-star right after Skadi, which this new operator is Blaze.
What? What the fuck?
You see, when I first watched the stream, I myself thought it was Blaze. It's very possible for many people to mistake it's Blaze due to the color of the hair, its length, the facial expression, and even the figure. Blaze or Chen experts may come at me and say that's an amateur mistake. Just look at the horns on the head to know it's not Blaze since she has cat ears, or look at the color of her eyes to know it's not her. But more of us are not expert of appearances, and it is common for people to mistake it. The fact that there are people who will say that it looks like Blaze is a problem in itself. Upon realizing it's Chen, many CN or even EN players felt that it was rather off character of Chen to look the way that she did. When this happened, people surfaced it online in their own forums to talk about it. Shirei made a video sharing that CN players were expressing how they didn't like the artwork, some even calling it ugly and demanded a change. Many of his viewers reacted that they feel that these people were being petty and unappreciative of the work, or it's just CN being CN, some even saying they're being crybabies, overblowing a situation unnecessarily. Well, there's a bigger underlying problem to this. It's not a matter of her being ugly or not, it's the problem of her being a limited operator. You see, back then in the 1.5 anniversary stream for CN, Hyperglyph stated that they would be making it such that there will only be 3 limited manners in a year. Hold it there, do you remember it as such? At least, I did. But it turns out, nowhere in that stream had a staff saying that. Somehow we conjured up this entire saying in our brains. Rather, the saying of 3 limited manners in a year was derived from this picture that showed that we will be receiving limited operators only on CNY and anniversary. Only 3 operators shown, so it means 3 limited operators only every year. What many of us would assume. What we didn't notice is how there were these dots that were on the screen. These few dots implied that there would be more operators during Chinese New Year and anniversary. What we missed out was how there are these dots at the top right that actually implied that there would be more events with limited manners. At this point you may be thinking, well, that isn't a bad thing now, is it? It's not the company's fault that we were dumb-brained and didn't understand their secret dots to know a summer festival will have a limited. That still doesn't hit the target board of the problem. Even if it was supposed to be guessed out, players were obviously feeling very cheated to learn of more limited operators that are to occur in Arknights. More limited operators is not a fun thing at all. We at Arknights Global don't even like it ourselves, experiencing Nian, then Dusk, and with little to no break, Rainbow Six Siege collaboration happens less than a week after Dusk. Now imagine Arknights having 4 limited banners in a year, or 6, or even 8. Would you be comfortable with the game? Limited operators are only reserved for 1 banners and no other times. They won't be getting a rerun, except for Nian, which they brought her back because she didn't have a spark system. But all other limited operators, like Rosmontis and W, they would only be reappearing in the Spark store, and at a much lower rate on future limited banners. Possibly no more reruns, which sounds marvelous, doesn't it? That was being sarcastic, but there's a huge issue with the Spark system of Arknights, if that's how the developers expect players to get all the limited operators. To get a 6-star via this system, you'll need 300 tokens. And these 300 tokens aren't just any random pulls that you do in the game. They are only valid for the limited banner that you pull on. 300 tokens will mean 300 pulls, and these tokens, they don't carry forward to future limited banners. Once a banner ends, they get converted to these little things, where you can buy some materials for trade. Let's put it that you're free to play. You do your missions diligently and also your annihilation. In a week, you'll get 3000 randoms. In a month, you'll be having 20 pools. How many months would it take you to save 300 pools, excluding event rewards? 15 whopping months. More than a year. Well, maybe the Spark system wasn't meant to benefit the free-to-play, but for some of the money spenders. So let's consider monthly pack buyers. They'll be having 30 pools in a month. How will they reach 300 tokens? They'll need 10 months of savings. Okay, so maybe still not the right audience. How about monthly card and monthly hit hunting pack buyers? That's like 30 USD a month. They get a little over 50 pools in a month, and that means 5 to 6 months of savings. You recognize how there's an inherent problem with the gacha in the game? We aren't just players saving for limited banners, you know. We still have standard banners that we will want. I must just put forth here that the gacha rate to obtain a 6-star in Arknights is brilliant. One of the best of the gacha games at 2%. But the gacha rate to obtain a specific 6-star is quite terrible. This game is very good at giving you a lot of high rarity to play with. But if you want a very specific character, the 6-star that's the love of your life, it's not gonna be the most enjoyable time. An event banner that features one 6-star will have a drop rate of 50%, meaning the other 50 is to get an off-banner 6-star. A limited banner has a drop rate of 70%, which is higher than the event ones. Only, they are 2 6-stars. So do you get what that means? Each of them have a drop rate of 35%, lower than an event radar banner. A standard banner has a drop rate of 50%, but it's for 2 6-stars again, so individually, it's 25%. A joint operation banner with 4 fixed 6-stars also has a 25% chance of dropping a particular 6-star. I tried pulling for Suzerain before on a standard banner and made 2 videos about it. While still being positive despite the bad pulls, honestly, the experience was terrible. I did 200 pulls, I willed for the first time, I spent money in the game, and Suzerain didn't drop. In fact, the other on-banner 6-star also didn't drop. It was 4 off-banner 6-stars in a row, so I failed a 50% chance 4 times. A willing friend of mine who chases max potentials on all his 6-stars shared with me that he took 1000 pulls on Blemishshine's events banner with a 50% drop rate of Blemishshine, and yet he only got her up to pot 3. I've heard stories of people who saved very hard on their randoms for 300 pulls for W, and yet there was still no Ws in 300 pulls, only Weedies. Or how someone did 570 pulls for Skadi Altar, and no Skadi Altar came home. Or no Saga in 200 pulls, and only Dusk. The point here is that, again, the game is great. Top tier at giving you 6-star at great weights. But if you want to get a particular 6-star here and now, the system isn't beautiful to obtain a very specific character you want. Now let's bring this back to Chen for how she's a limited operator. The chance to get her isn't guaranteed. You're playing with a gacha luck. You're going to be spending a lot of money if you do spend and if you don't get her. Just for that 300 pool spark. And Hypergriff, the company behind this, surely knows this well. It's all in all pretty odd. The sudden release of Chen feels like a big marketing ploy, and just a way to be able to milk money from the players in the game. To even more so warrant the purchase or make us feel okay about the spending, the character would have to look good, which in this case, the previous Chen before the edit didn't look all too well. Even the new one feels off character to some. Funnily to note, Chen was drawn by the main art director of Arknights, which you would expect an art director to perform well in his role, to produce an artwork that would minimally be largely accepted by majority of his players, which turns out to not be the case, clearly from the reception of the players. How in the world did Chen get so much rage and not Mizuki, the other 6-star, drawn by an Australian artist, who by the way sounds extremely proud of her work, which we are happy for her as well. don't worry, I'll definitely be pulling for the sun. CN players are not exactly angry that Chen looks bad or ugly. The larger problem is that it feels cheap. It feels like a huge turnoff that the amount of effort put into the drawing feels as if we players are getting milked for our money. It doesn't help that Chen's current kit is extremely busted right now, with very high damage and utility. It might be the first ever instance of a limiter operator being a new meta, putting even further emphasis that this just looks like a whole marketing gimmick. 300 pulls aren't cheap at all. In real currency terms, that's 550 USD. Bring back my earlier point that I stated, how there may be more limited banners than expected. How much money would you be spending to get the characters you want? To some, 550 USD could be half or more than half of their wages. How could they afford to continuously pay to this game? This entire situation was further exacerbated or worsened when Hyperglyph first announced the packs for the Summer Carnival, which the 30 USD pack had the pools and materials, but not the usual 24 Originite Prime that all other 30 USD packs had before. After a day or two, they made another announcement that said that it was their mistake and they will return 24 OP via mail to whoever that buys the pack. People don't really know if this was an intentional move or a genuine mistake by Hyperglyph, but whichever it was, it just doesn't look good on the company. If genuine, it would mean that the company made an amateur mistake after 2.5 years of operations. If intentional, it would further imply how much of a money-milking direction they are heading towards. There's a new module system in the game, where there's base module that you can unlock that buffs all the stats of a certain archetype or branch. Like for instance, a summoner base module will raise the attack and HP of all the summoners. And then there's also a specific module to give an additional buff to the trait, talent, or stats of an operator. Basically it's sounding like equipment system. However, not every player likes the equipment system. Some of us even chose to play Arknights as our main gacha game for how simple it can be to play, less complications to think about when building one's own character. Whether someone likes it or not, the unlock system is a problem. What the developers shared with us was that the way the modules work is us using our materials, LMD, and some new module material to craft our modules. The modules can be crafted after we fulfill a dedicated character mission, to use the character in a certain stage and follow the condition tightly. They stated that currently there will be 4 unlock methods for the new module material: Raid Certificate Shot, Weekly Missions, Distinction Store, and Event Rewards. Well, the word used here is currently. This made a lot of players paranoid, and you have to understand why. The limiter banner popping out of nowhere was already an issue, hiding cryptic symbols to indicate a potential release, and now the word choice of currently is here. Does that mean that it wouldn't be as free as this in the future? Do we need to use random to gacha for module materials? What in the world will it be? It's uncomfortable. I already have trouble saving up my own random, and I don't want to afford pulling on another lottery machine. I have to input an important point here. I often hear about how many of you don't like the rush you're experiencing in EN because of not being able to save enough randoms to prepare for the banners. Consider this, that in CN, when Undertides had concluded, the next event was Preluding Lights, a mini story event, so less rewards, faster to complete. TOW rerun came after that, then it was Interlocking Competition, what many has called the worst possible event in Arknights ever, because the event had 4 tutorial stages and 5 main stages that could be completed in an hour or 2. What in the world is this event supposed to be? After Interlocking is Vigilo, another mini story event, and then Gavial rerun, and then is this Summer Carnival. Do you see or sense how dead this feels leading up to the Summer Carnival? There wasn't any proper build up or hype up to prepare players for such a big release, and that was the reason players were expressing how this limited caught them by surprise, that this was simply a rude shock. Even if you don't believe me, we at EN are going to get our own rude shock soon. All the events I stated are likely to come before 2nd anniversary, which that will be Calcit and Scouter, saved specially for the anniversary in January next year. Unless Hyperglyph or Yostar plays the best prank on us and make it come 1 month after Rainbow Six Siege, which I cannot even think that they'll do that. Calcit for anniversary, that shall not be a contested point. Most likely once anniversary has concluded, there should be 1 or 2 mini events squeezed in between of the Summer Carnival and anniversary, Or maybe no breaks at all. Another time of 2 limited banners back to back. Scouter is probably going to be in January, and Shoutout will be in February or March. And this just hurts. We're facing another 2 limited banners back to back potentially, and all the events before it are not going to help us very much to fund our Originite Prime or run them. Now people are very vocal about this situation. What went from a few upset comments became an explosive riot on the CN forums and sites, where players were very vocal about their disappointment to the event, expressing several changes they really want, such as reducing the number of limited operators, being transparent to exactly how many limited operators players are to expect, lowering the spark system to 200 pools instead, changing chance art, which is probably rectified, and also promising that the module system will never be a gacha system. The comment thread on the summer holiday video had an average increase of 100,000 comments a day. Right now, it has already amassed over 800,000 comments. That's a huge number. Imagine that on a YouTube video. The problems that I've been describing to you were basically repeated statements that were in the comments thread, with people copying one another's message so as to serve as an outcry of the list of things that people wish can be improved. But as the fire kept raging on, something did happen. Or if not, something didn't happen, to cause many other things to happen. I started this video saying the main topic today was hyperglyph. It still is, if you haven't realized. Everything I talked about before this leads up to hyperglyph. They make the design decisions of the company. They make the monetization decisions. They are the overall head. They are the voice of the company. Only they had no voice. They were silent for the many days. No company's message, no response to alleviate players' fears or to address their concerns. Can you believe that even when the event has been released, that the company makes absolutely no statement about the entire field that's happening? They've answered to the players about the problems they had in the past, such as the Riot to not release a new operator during a rerun event, which was taunts at that time, because players stated how reruns don't offer more Originite Prime to help to fund their pools in a new banner. Past the 6th day, the 7th, the 8th, every other day after that of what is the worst online conflict Arknights has ever seen, Maji Horse left. Like, leave the game. Maji Horse was one of the biggest Arknights creator in Bilibili, with his Risk 27 Pyrite video amassing 2 million views. If you don't know what Bilibili is, think of that as Chinese YouTube. Anyways, he had a perfect account, with 97 operators, with max masteries, max levels, that being all the 6 stars and most 5 stars maxed out. And he left. He said he sold away his account and was never coming back to the game. He did this as he stated he wanted Hyperglyph to respond, and that he's doing this for the betterment of the players. Other creators have also left the game, like Huhu0504, who specializes in Elite 1 4 stars only run, kinda like Silvergun, or Danshi Uwo, who specializes in Elite 0 runs only. Most of these creators, they left because they all feel the same, or they're just tired of the company, tired of the game. It's quite hard to fathom the number of perfect accounts that have chosen to leave the game because of this controversy. Doesn't this all feel too familiar to us? It feels like the time when many of our own content creators left Arknights because Genshin exists, and they started to just drop off and chase better things. It hurts to see this CN drama unfold. I didn't do like a big cry or anything, but on the day I learned of this situation, my emotions were on the brink of overwhelming me. I don't like to see a game that I like so much turn out like this. It's like seeing a family member in pain. It sucks. The game isn't exactly dying. That's not what's going on. It still has a lot of players and is still earning very well, but the game is surely burning, and it's burning bright, burning hard. The problem with this isn't about CN players wanting change that are demanding or unreasonable. The problem is that players want their trust in the company back. You could make the argument that Arknights is a better gacha game than many of the other gacha games that you know. There are those with 300 pool spark systems and people aren't complaining, or those with terrible rates. And at the same time, Arknights isn't a game that you need every single character. You can just make do with whatever 6 stars that you have and you're good to go. You can just play the game entirely. That doesn't mean that a game should be feeling so good of themselves just to be slightly better than another game. Even if one has been successful, one shouldn't relax just yet. There will always be new competitors, new games, and new innovations. And game companies should always strive to be better than another game. People have faith that Arknights will be an innovation, a game that will strive to greater heights and not to new lows. The game is well loved for how it houses both free-to-play players and pay-to-play players very well. But with the sensing that there may be a growing greed from the developers in the game, players just can't feel comfortable at all. This is going to affect the CN community. This is eventually going to affect us, the EN community. What may be the solution to this entire situation? Honestly, it's as simple as Hyperglyph speaking up about the situation to alleviate players' fears and worries, to be transparent about the direction that the company is taking, letting us know why they're doing what they're doing. I'm perfectly fine that the company may be feeling the pinch and wanting to earn even more money just to keep themselves afloat. I have worked in companies myself. I know that very well. Profits matter at the end of the day. But even if that's the case, releasing a banner like this isn't the way to go. We pay money because we want to support the humble efforts of deserving developers, and not developers who are wanting to overfill their wallets when our pockets are broken. We love the game. I love the game. And I genuinely care about the game. But the developers will have to show us equivalent care back. I made this video to properly present the story for today so that you EN players won't be too pea-brain about it and finally understand what are the troubles that are going on in the CN community and how we are going to face the same problems as them very soon. I don't like the fact that there's animosity or basically disapproval to the CN players when they're trying to protect us as much as they protect themselves. I understand that there's all sorts of controversy that involves whatever CN is doing in the past, but those party of people, the affected ones, is not the same as these who are calling for good changes within the game. There are people who are calling all of these people entitled crybabies and whatsoever, but I don't think that's the term to really give to them. To be fair, this isn't a very good direction that I feel the company is going. I don't like it myself. Like I said, I'm fine if a company is growing this profiteering nature, but it should be done in a balanced way that balances out players' wants and also their wants, and not something that is overly greedy. If you're feeling discouraged from this video or you're not really happy, just understand that I'm still here. I'm gonna stay with this game for however that it is, but I do personally hope that Hyperglyph is working towards improving our player experience and our game time. I'm hoping that they show us the love that they have for the game as much as we love their game, which this can all be done by giving us innovative gameplay, wonderful new original characters, and not make alters of every operator in the game. To also echo Sess's point of view in his recent video, this is to Yostar and not Hyperglyph, but we hope that they can connect with us content creators to help them further the game, as I think we are all willing enough to help them to push the game to the next levels that they want to reach. I love this game so much. The gameplay is brilliant, the characters are amazing. I'm here to stay as a content creator of the game that you guys like to watch, that you guys love to watch, but I will find it tough to stay in the game if it goes down this painful corporate path that takes away my money, that takes away all of your money, especially during these COVID times when things are getting really tough to handle. Hyperglyph, if you're watching this, please know that I mean no harm. I love what you guys are doing, and I hope that you guys will take better care of your staff, your workers, and your players. That's all from me. I'm Kukikaze, signing off.